I live in an apartment building and I've become deeply unsettled by some recent observations regarding my neighbors. They're an elderly couple, a man in his early 60s and his wife. Their daughter, a 27-year-old woman, is currently living abroad to pursue her studies. A few weeks ago, a young woman who I recognize as a friend of the daughter's moved into the apartment building on a different floor. I know she's a daughter's friend because I've seen her visiting their apartment regularly when the daughter was still at home. Last night, I was using the stairs for exercise, I often do, and as I passed their floor, I distinctly heard some unusual noises coming from their apartment, which is right alongside the staircase. It struck me as peculiar that this might be happening in their living room rather than a more private space. However, what added to my unease was the fact that the wife's car wasn't parked outside. Usually, that means she's traveled to her hometown. This detail caused a significant sense of apprehension. Later, as I was returning upstairs, I saw the young friend exiting the husband's apartment and leaving the floor with a seemingly relaxed composure. Her actions further fueled my concerns. To be completely honest, I'm quite shocked by the situation. Both adults are free to make their own choices, so I don't believe anything illegal has occurred. However, it's the fact that this involves the daughter's friend that's profoundly unsettling to me. It raises serious questions about boundaries and respect. I'm unsure if any wrongdoing has actually taken place. These are simply my observations and the disquiet they've caused. I truly hope everything is all right, but the situation has left me feeling deeply uncomfortable and questioning the propriety of their actions. It's a difficult position to be in, witnessing something that feels ethically questionable.
A 24-year-old female, often find myself enjoying a walk in the park. Sometimes I'll notice a group of men exercising, running, or doing calisthenics, and with a playful gesture, I might gently push my glasses up and offer a lighthearted compliment. Something like, "Thanks for the show, gentlemen," before continuing on my way. Similarly, if I'm walking down the street and see a man who is looking particularly well dressed or put together, I might offer a cheerful, "Good morning, handsome," and then proceed with my day. I've heard numerous men express that they don't often receive compliments, and when they do, those kind words can resonate with them for a very long time. I strive to offer words of encouragement and appreciation to the men in my life regularly, but I also feel a desire to spread a little extra confidence in a fun, unexpected way. I don't anticipate or desire any specific outcome. It's simply a way for me to offer positive feedback and move on. I aim for a sort of whimsical spirit, much like a grandmother observing young, vibrant men and indulging in a playful moment. I've even discussed this with former partners, and they've shared that they would genuinely appreciate experiencing something like that. My greatest concern is ensuring that my actions don't cause anyone to feel uncomfortable. I believe I'm doing something positive, but I'm curious to know if others share that perspective. Disclaimer: the actions described in this story are intended as friendly and sincere compliments meant to offer encouragement and boost confidence. They are not intended to be perceived as harassment, and respect for personal boundaries is always paramount.
In a quaint, small town where veterinary services were scarce on weekends, a devoted pet owner faced an agonizing decision. Her feline companion of 25 years, the dearest friend she had ever known, suddenly began to scream in agony on a fateful Friday evening. With the realization that professional help would not be available until Monday morning, and the knowledge that her precious cat was suffering tremendously, the woman turned to her husband for assistance. Desperate to alleviate the cat's pain, they made the heart-wrenching choice to administer medication, hoping to provide some relief under the dire circumstances. As the minutes passed, the woman watched her beloved companion slip into a peaceful slumber. Within a mere 10 minutes, the cat was fast asleep, and in just 20 minutes, she had taken her final breath. Though the decision was made out of pure love and compassion, the woman could not help but feel the weight of her actions. For 25 beautiful years, this extraordinary cat had been by her side as her most loyal confidant and cherished friend.
Now, in the wake of her passing, the woman grappled with the profound sense of loss and the knowledge of the role she had played in her beloved pet's final moments. In her grief, she sought solace and reassurance from others, yearning for the comforting words that would remind her that her intentions were pure and her actions were guided by love.
4 years ago, my neighbor, a 70-year-old very sweet lady, started bringing me food every Sunday because you are too skinny to live alone. Her cooking was aggressively experimental. Paper dry meat, mysterious spice combinations, soups that tasted like wet socks. One night, her husband pulled me aside outside and said, "Thank you for pretending to like her food. She lost her sense of purpose after retirement. Cooking keeps her alive." So, I doubled down. I hyped every dish like it was Michelin level. She would beam every time. It became this whole ritual. She would hand me a plastic container, I would compliment her seasoning, she would blush and wave me off. Fast forward to last month. Her husband had a mild stroke. They changed his diet and she is too overwhelmed to cook. The meal stopped, and I realized something. I actually miss them. Not the food, hell no, but the weird warmth of it. It felt like someone was caring about me in their own clumsy way. I want to check in on her, but I feel like if I ask for food again, it will come off as insulting, and if I do not, I will seem ungrateful. So I have been silently grieving the world's worst lasagna.
This occurred several months after my father's arrest for domestic terrorism, a period during which my mother was experiencing a profound and deeply troubling decline in her mental health. She was spiraling, struggling immensely. One evening, a particularly difficult night, I found myself needing to gently restrain her, taking a kitchen knife from her grasp and immediately contacting the authorities. At the time, I perceived that she was perhaps struggling with self-harm, but the subsequent revelations were far more disturbing. It emerged that her plan was not solely about her own despair. Tragically, she intended to harm me first, believing that it would somehow alleviate her suffering. The weight of this realization has been crashing over me in waves, a constant oscillation between moments of dark humor and overwhelming, uncontrollable grief. Looking back, when I was just 19 years old, I unknowingly intervened, preventing what could have been a devastating murder-suicide, and I was the intended victim. It's a burden I'm still grappling with, but I'm focusing on support and ensuring that such a crisis never happens again. Seeking professional help for myself and advocating for mental health resources for others who may be facing similar struggles.
I am a white male, now husband to an Asian female. Both she and her family are superstitious, and they told her she has to go and see if we are an astrological match based on Chinese astrology. I'm a person that is very rational and does not like to leave things to chance. We had already been dating for a year, and things were getting serious when the topic came up. By that time, I was already deeply emotionally invested in this relationship, and when I began to realize that for her the astrological match was a potential deal breaker, I panicked and knew I could not just gamble on it working or not. So I told her we will go to Chinatown and see a fortune teller. I'm sure there are more sophisticated words for them, but honestly, I do not care much for them or their profession. The day before, I secretly went to Chinatown, met a fortune teller with a good reputation, and paid her $400 to tell my now wife that our astrology and whatnot is perfectly compatible. The next day, we went to said fortune teller, and she did as asked, even printed out some report sheet that details why we are such a great match. I am happily married now, our first child is on the way, and I have zero regrets. Okay, so I'm 23 years old and I'm bisexual, though nobody in my life knows that. My parents were out of town for the day and I'd invited a friend over. We were spending time together. My house is a bungalow, a small single-story home, pretty easy to move around in. Let's just say I wasn't exactly dressed for company at the time. Suddenly, I heard a knock at the door and it opened. And there, standing right before me, was my aunt.
We locked eyes for what felt like an eternity, just 2 seconds maybe, and we were both completely frozen. She let out a gasp, turned, and quickly shut the door. I assumed she'd come in through the back door, which I'd left unlocked. She often called to check in, and I think she probably heard some noise coming from my room and came to say hello. It's been a week now, and I've spoken to her twice since. The conversations have been incredibly awkward, very short and stilted. I'm really unsure how to handle this. Should I bring it up, or just hope that things resolve themselves naturally over time? Any advice would be greatly appreciated.
As a young teenager, I struggled with deep insecurities, dreading the cutthroat environment of junior high. However, I soon discovered a hidden source of confidence that set me apart from my peers. No longer shackled by self-doubt, I embraced this newfound self-assurance and found my place among my classmates. With each passing day, I grew more comfortable in my own skin, my self-esteem blossoming. This transformation caught the attention of a beautiful girl who would become my first love. Our relationship propelled me to new heights, shattering my once limiting beliefs about my own desirability. The shy, introverted boy who once feared the world's judgment was now living life to the fullest, forging unforgettable memories throughout his teenage years. A single serendipitous discovery had saved me from a life of reclusion, granting me the courage to embrace the world and all its possibilities.
There's an older guy at my local supermarket who shops the same day and time every month. He looks exactly like my dad did before he passed. Neat button down, tired eyes, scanning coupons forever. One day I watched him put items back because he was short a few dollars, and that's the exact thing my dad used to do when money was tight. And I wasn't there for him the way I should have been near the end. So I started quietly covering the difference at checkout before he arrived. I'd tell the cashier ahead of time, if the older man with the navy cap comes through, scan this card. I've been doing it for 19 months. Last week he walked in and I overheard him tell the cashier, someone up there must be looking out for me. I keep catching lucky breaks. I broke down in my car afterward. I'm not religious, but I hope somewhere my dad sees this and knows it's my apology too little too late. I'm terrified he'll one day catch me paying and then it'll get weird. But for now, I'll keep doing it. It heals something in me.
I, a 23-year-old male, applied for a remote position last year. The onboarding was chaotic. Everything was through email, and they somehow forgot to assign me to a team. I waited, asked around, no response. So I figured I would chill until someone noticed. 3 months passed. I was getting paid every 2 weeks. No tasks, no meetings, no contact. I started treating it like free universal basic income. I traveled, gamed, lived my best life. Then, last week, Human Resources finally emailed saying, your performance has not met expectations. I laughed out loud. Performance? I literally had not logged into a company system once. They fired me and sent a severance check. I did not even bother replying. They paid me nearly $20,000 to do nothing. I feel a bit guilty, but also like I beat the system for once. It was around 2 a.m. Usually I would shower around this time. Everyone is asleep usually. As I was showering, there were climbing sounds and sorts of stuff. I was on video call with my boyfriend. He is also in the shower. I keep looking up at the hole. Not long after that, I saw a phone and the camera was towards down, which seemed like it was trying to record. Slowly sliding. I immediately shouted 2 times, then he pulled back his phone. I was so scared, never in my life have I felt so unsafe, and it was in my own home. I want to move out as soon as possible. I had to call my sister to come to the toilet. She was sick and bedridden, but I had to wait. I did not know what awaited me behind the door. I am traumatized and will forever be scared.
In summary, a 29-year-old male finds himself entangled in a complex family dynamic. After leaving a toxic and manipulative marriage,
that began at the tender age of 19, he returns to his hometown at the age of 26. Reconnecting with old acquaintances, he unexpectedly encounters his former sister-in-law on a dating app. As they reminisce about the past, she reveals her own unhappy marriage, and the two develop an intimate relationship. Haunted by years of torment inflicted by his ex-wife, the man wonders if his actions are driven by spite rather than genuine affection. The story explores themes of toxic relationships, personal growth, and the complicated nature of family dynamics. I, a 25-year-old female, have been lying to my partner, a 26-year-old male, since about 6 weeks into our relationship. You know how sometimes early on in a new relationship, you will just say things without thinking because in your mind, it is going to make them like you more? My boyfriend was folding some of his laundry and he mentioned he did not know how to fold his fitted sheets. So I immediately said that I did and would be happy to do it for him. Fast forward to now, and I have been fake folding our fitted sheets for like 2 years. I make sure to stay on top of doing the laundry, specifically when it is time to change our bedding. I basically just take the old ones off and immediately grab a clean one from the back of the closet where I stuff them. Am I in too deep at this point to tell him I lied?